Hi and welcome to Trish channel. In this video I'll explain why I'm starting to get a little bit fed up with paranormal investigators that I've been watching, especially American shows, albeit with the exception of TAPS. Now, to be fair, UK investigators don't bang on about witchcraft and demons. As you know, I did a video explaining demons and why demons are BS, basically. I'll go over that in this video briefly, in this video, okay? So, links to those in the description below. Now, what caused me to make the video was when I saw a series on Netflix, which kind of was the last straw, where I thought, that's it, you know, as it were. It was called 28 Days Haunted, and in this documentary, it seemed promising at first because they were saying they've got some professional scientists, etc. However, pardon me, as it began to start, you could see this was a load of baloney, because they had psychic mediums and demonologists. Now, don't get me wrong, demonology is sort of a profession or a field, but if you're doing this purely from a scientific viewpoint, then the idea of demonology is absurd because it deals with demons, which, according to science, is baloney. And they're doing crazy stuff like reading prayers and other nonsense to provoke negative spirits and to reassure the positive spirits, etc. Now, I respect people's religions, but coming from a country that's lived with Christianity for 1,000 plus years, the problem with Christianity in America is it's still in its infancy. Therefore, they're not more aware or more streetwise, as you could say, or street cred, as it were, with it as we are in the UK. Because a lot of Christians in the UK, for example, accept that Jesus may have not existed and merely are Christians because they believe it's the message, not the story, that's necessarily important. And love the belonging and the community. In the UK, we don't all believe in demons anymore, nor do we bang on about demons. Even the Vatican doesn't believe in demons or hell anymore. They've even said that hell was an invention by the church to scare people into being loyal to the church, obedient, as it were, as a means of control. Now, yes, we still have our fair share of kooks and crazies, but in general, Christianity in the UK tends to be more about community and having a community and morals, and yes, some still believe in heaven, etc., and in God, but they're still more sensible and rational about it. Whereas America, their Christianity has a medieval or Salem vibe still to it. For example, in America, they believe in witchcraft, demons, satanic rituals, and in some parts of America, they still believe that being gay is a sin and that the earth is flat. Now, I'm not slagging off Americans. Don't think I'm doing that. I'm just explaining the difference in the level of development with their religion. So, as explained in the video, demons aren't real. Demons are a work of fiction mainly by the church and various other Abrahamic religions. As you may or may not know, if you look at history, especially there are signs of it in the UK, when Christianity or the Holy Roman Empire took over all the other pagan lands, and they built over the old temples and holy sites. They even adopted their festivals and took on their gods and made them Christian. Now, when it came to demons, what happened is they took all the old pagan gods and made some into angels, and the leftovers, what do we do with those? Were made into demons. Because, as you know, when creating a story, you have the good guys and the bad guys. When you study the occult, you find this out. It's also things like that irritates me with ghost investigators in America is they claim to be experts and claim to have done research. Well, they clearly didn't, because how come they don't know the things I've just explained? So, as you can see, well, they might miss it. So, as you can see, the idea of, there's evil demons here is just stupid, because they don't exist. Because demons being the pagan gods weren't evil, so you can see why it doesn't make sense or sounds ludicrous. As I said also in other videos, the word demon came from the word daemon, which means the spirit that lingers between heaven and earth. Essentially, just another word for a ghost or a spirit that happens to be stranded or lingers in the world of the living. What's also especially bothered me with 28 Days Haunted was the fact they were making out to be a professional scientific thing, when no self-respecting scientist would believe or ever believe in psychic mediums and reading religious scripture, let alone believing in demons. It annoys me when shows present themselves in a professional, academic light when they're not. Now, also to remember, if ghosts exist and you have a negative spirit or ghost or entity or whatever, and they know that you're a religious or a superstitious person, then there's nothing to say that they won't use words like devil, Satan, demon, etc. to play on your fears, or if this entity feeds off negative emotions like fear, then they use they use whatever words or methods they can to make you fear or produce fear. It's also ironic because clearly no one's done any research, because if you've done your research properly, you'll know that not only does hell not exist, but Satan was never a bad guy. He was an angel, and always has been an angel, who works for God. His name is Samael, who, like Q from Star Trek, was tasked with causing mischief or doing challenges with humans in order to test their worthiness or faith, because God is a bit egotistical. He never went to hell and was made later a lord and protector of the earth. And also, anyone who has correctly or properly read the New Testament would also know that hell is not an actual place, but a state of being. As Jesus explained, hell is not a place, but the absence of God. Now, I mentioned taps, but in the UK, even the most haunted team were better than most media-based programmes. The reason why I liked them is, to give credit where credit is due. The Most Haunted team didn't bang on about demons and shit like that. And they brought scientists to the show who were skeptics. They also brought parapsychologists and psychologists. They were sensible and would try to debunk a sound, etc., before establishing its legitimacy. Although, to be fair, recently, since breaking away from TV, they went on about witchcraft and witches in their Halloween special, which kind of let them down a bit, albeit, though, despite their personal beliefs on such things, they do try to debunk sound phenomena. For example, is it the pipes? Is it the wall? Is it something in the wall? The water running? Taps running. But on their televised show, they allowed for scientists, skeptics, etc., to analyse and critique their work, and allowed these experts to then express their opinions on what they thought was happening or causing the phenomena they were capturing. This is what is needed more in American shows and in investigations. Now, also, after watching a podcast with Fielding talking to Casper Side on his Casper video, check out. Not only is she passionate about ghost investigations, but she doesn't see it from a religious sense. Her views, to be fair, do fit within the realms of theoretical science. For example, from her personal opinion, she sees spiritual entities as things that live on a different plane of reality, and the afterlife is possibly another form of reality or parallel world. Of what she expressed in this interview does reasonably work within the realms or theories that have been branched from things like quantum physics. Although I still can't, not being horrible, I still can't forgive the Most Haunted team for the disgusting conduct towards Derek Acora. They pretended to be his friend and off camera were caught stabbing him in the back, calling him a lying B-stud, and saying his possession experiences were acting. It wasn't until his death that she apologised. And then the team apologised. So most UK investigators don't bang out demons. They don't use any religious baloney. Well, I'm just saying, I do respect what I'm saying. They look at it from a more modern and scientific viewpoint, but mainly just simply from a modern perspective. As I've said, the idea of believing in demons, witchcraft, etc., is not really modern. Salem and all that medieval stuff, you know what I mean? Now, I also want to go over the fact that witchcraft doesn't exist. Witches have never existed. The people who we called witches back in the day, and we were just as guilty as Americans at witch hunting and that during medieval times, or American Salem, etc., were people who had challenged authority or challenged the current way of thinking or the church, and were basically burnt as heretics, etc., under the guise of witchcraft. Now, in this day and age, people who call themselves Satanists or witches, yeah, you get them, but these are harmless people. Witches today are from a movement created in the 1970s called Wicca, and Satanism is an atheistic religion founded in the 1960s. None of these groups worship Satan. Wicca is about nature and the old gods. Satanism is an atheistic and merely sees Satan as a metaphor, a rebel against authority, and was created as a response to the over-controlling behaviour of Christianity in America. Also, their Satan isn't biblical. He comes from the story Paradise Lost and not the Bible. As I explained, and ironically the one in the Bible isn't evil, he is barely even mentioned in the Bible. He was made evil in the New Testament, but that was so the Roman Catholic Church, or the Holy Roman Empire as it known back then, could force its will onto its flock. Now, what I would love to see on the shows, especially if they have funding from, say, Netflix or any form of TV broadcasting organisation, is out for them to bring with them on these investigations physicists and scientists. For example, I picked two, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku, and any other respected scientist, so they can see what's going on and determine if they can debunk it or not. If ghosts are real, then I hate to break it to you, but reading religious scripture ain't going to do F all. From the evidence, also the videos from here, to do F all. But now, yes, it may have an effect on some spirits, but this is probably because when they were alive, they were very religious, devout religious people. But to actually think that you're exerting the power of God unto these spirits is ludicrous. And like I said, most self-respecting scientist doesn't believe in superstition, nor do they believe in God. Now, okay, and there's no way they would use religious scripture in their investigations. Well, yes, and yep, I just realised what I said. But yes, while there are scientists that are Christian, they're still rational about it and look at it through a scientific lens. What also annoys me is the lack of initiatives or lack of imagination. And imagination isn't a bad thing. It's how we pitch stuff in our heads and stuff. When it comes to investigating ghosts, because it never occurs to them, nor do they even think to consider what we think are ghosts or entities or shadow bastards, as Casper would say, that are of paranormal nature, could be terrestrial beings or extraterrestrial beings that live outside our perceivable frequency, as humans only see a small percentage of visible reality. Now, some of these entities may not even be intelligent like us, but merely creatures, animals, who exist like the nature we see every day, just surrounding us. They're just they just go about their business, they're just indifferent. They just go about doing their thing, and we just can't see them. Except sometimes we might pick them up in our eyes, all kinds of things. There are way more scary possibilities than the ones people normally conceive of. Humans only see 0.0035%, that's very small, of visible light, which means we don't see all of reality or what's there. It's also why cameras may pick up what we don't see, because cameras are slightly more sophisticated in their mechanics. That's the way you could put it. Now, don't get me wrong, this kind of stuff, this kind of nonsense, adds to the entertainment and will get you more views on YouTube. But it would be nice if we can just have more scientific hunts on the internet and leave that demon shit out. You know what I mean? And if something claims to be a demon, well, we must challenge its claims, not just blindly go, demon! The other thing I want to stress as well is context of language. In words especially, because, say for example, in one of these investigations, they would ask the spirits, is there a negative entity here, etc. And on the spirit box, they may sometimes say something like demon. Well, that doesn't mean it's literally a flippin' demon. You have to bear in mind that if this person is, say, of the 17 to 1800s, then they'll use the language of their time and within their context, because they were religious that time. Like in the same way we would loosely use the word demonic to describe a bad person, oh, they're being demonic. It doesn't mean we're saying they're literal demons. Get it? The other thing that gets me is some of these investigators listen to old folk tales and superstitions. For example, oh, we mustn't do this or do that because according to the tales that or stories that people have been saying, people have become ill and have died or something's bad happened to them. There's a 97% chance nothing will happen, just like walking under a ladder or letting a black cat walk across your path. Nothing happens. Yet these superstitions carried for years psychological power over people. I seriously don't know what more to say because when I was writing the script for this, I lost my original train of thought, going over the points. But basically, we need to leave religion and superstition out of ghost hunts and get a bit more science involved, because it's also the only way to prove it academically and to prove it to the world. Who are people going to listen to? They're either going to listen to a scientist or to some random person who's just bang on about witchcraft and demons and all that sort of stuff. It's what's recently put me off certain favourite ghost investigation channels. Oh, sorry. At the end of the day, if I wanted sensationalist crap that had demons, etc. in it, I'd watch Zach Bagans' Ghost Adventures, because that's every show is demons, gate to hell. Ooh, I'd watch that. So all I would like is a bit more science involved and less hokum. Like I said, I respect people's beliefs. It's just with the demons and stuff, it's getting dull and mediocre and sensationalist. And when you know history, mythology, and look into the occult, it will just irritate you when you watch people bang on about inaccuracies with things. But if you're one of these channels, be creative. Bring a scientist out with you. Want views? Invite Neil deGrasse Tyson or Michio Kaku. Or just get anyone of that sort of background onto your investigations. Just get someone who's actually an academic, or maybe someone who's an academic who teaches at a university even. As I mentioned, another good team to check out is TAPS, because a lot of their stuff they find they can debunk. They spend time going, oh, it's that. They just debunk it most of the time. My intention isn't to offend, and I hope you can understand what I'm going on about and what I mean. It's just irritating me because I want to see something more creative and imaginative than just Victorian or medieval or whatever hokum and superstition. Also, what bugs me is the lack of common sense. Stop and think for 1 minute. Look at some of these videos. On their title, they say things like demons are real, our scariest investigation, proof that demons exist or real, etc. And guess what? When you watch them, there's no proof. Not one demon in sight, which illustrates they throw that word around just to get views or just to get you to watch it. Because believe it or not, you have to watch it just to see if there's a fucking demon. And so I'm going to leave it there. But yeah. And with that, thank you for listening, and until the next video, take care, be well, love you lots.